All right, so obviously this is not the Audi R8 or the new fun car that's coming. I cannot tell you when, but it is coming. The new car is coming. So in the meantime, I've decided to help mod the wife's car. This is an Audi Q5 2021, which is a facelift. I think it's a B9.5. This is for the facelift car that starts in 2020 or 2021. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to replace all of the normal grills to the black optics grill. See here, this is what it looks like here for the S line as well as I think the SQ5. This is the black optics grill that comes standard with the higher trim level. Now you can obviously see here that most of the work has been done already. I was able to remove the front bumper from the car over here because I wanted to make sure that I was able to do it while following the service manual, and I wanted to get this job done rather quickly. So what I'm going to do now in this how-to video is to actually go back and show you the main steps that I took to take apart this front bumper and show you all the tabs and the crevices that you normally wouldn't see if this bumper were to be on the car. Furthermore, I'm also going to give you tips and tricks that I learned on the way while trying to wrestle this front bumper out of the car. So hopefully that will save you at least an hour or two of your time, as well as learn how to replace all of the grills off the front bumper into the black optics package, which gives it a lot more aggressive look. And I think it really fits this car, especially this white Q5. So let's start and look at the tools you need to do this job. Let's look at the service cart that I've set up. Of course, the first tool that you need to have is a ratchet. Either you can go with a 3/4 ratchet, a quarter ratchet. I have an electric ratchet to help speed things up. You're gonna need some extensions as well as a 10mm socket right here. The most crucial tool are these torque bits right here. So you're gonna need torque bits for T30 as well as a T25. Now afterwards, I do recommend you get yourself a set of trim tools such as these two right here. This is what I use, as well as a couple of flathead screwdrivers and this small little screwdriver, this little pocket screwdriver with a little angle right here. This helps you maneuver around in that tight wheel well area and allow you to get off any fasteners, as well as try to just pick and get things that normally your hands would have difficulty trying to take out. Last thing that is crucial here is I think you need to get a trim tool that will pop off rivets right here. This is a little upholstery tool for a car. You go in and then you pop off these rivets. You will have to deal with 2 pop rivets that secure the bumper to the rest of the car. Since space is tight, I also recommend you get an inspection mirror that allows you to swivel and look behind the wheel well, because space is tight and you're gonna need to use that in order to be able to like pop off some of these rivets near the wheel arch trim area. Finally, the last set of tools you will need will be a couple of flashlights as well as a neck light to help you light up the wheel well area. Now, you're also going to need to replace 2 fasteners. These are these push type fasteners. They kind of look like a Christmas tree, as you can see here. So these push fasteners help secure the wheel fender liner area on both sides of the car. You can see here that once I've hooked them off, most of the barbs here that allow the fastener to snugly secure itself has fallen off. So I do recommend you go to the hardware store and get 2 new push fasteners. The closest push fasteners I found at the hardware store is from Hillman with a serial number of 881192. Now I've measured the length and width of the spine here and they come out to 14mm in length, or about 1/2 inch, and around 5.8mm in width, or around 2/10 of an inch. Now, other tools that you will also need for this job are 2 sets of jack stands, as well as a jack that I've highlighted right here, as well as a working stand that I got from Harbor Freight for around $25. All right, the first step, jack up the car. The service manual doesn't mention anything about jacking up the car, but I think in order to be able to have enough space, as you can see here, all this space here that you can maneuver all your hands to get off all these bolts around this area here, you're gonna need to jack the car up, really. And since I have quick jacks, this is how I've jacked the car up, and this is SUV. I actually have these blocks here that actually go into these pinch welds over here, as you can see. And I also highly recommend you get yourself a pair of normal jack stands to use as a backup in case the quick jacks somehow fail. So once the car has been jacked up, you now need to open the hood, and the first step is to take off this hood lever, release lever here. There's a button in the back. You push this button and then you pop this out right here. This is the button right here. From there, let me put this out of the way. From here, there's this nice trim or cowl here that you just need to pop off. Imagine this is the front bumper right here. You just pop things off with our trim tool or your hands. I just did it with my hands, and I was able to pop this off right here. The next step is to take off these lower air scoops on both sides of the car. Right here, this is what the air scoop looks like. Right here, and let me go down over here. That's what it looks like from here. You take, and all these bolts, how many bolts do we have? We have a couple of bolts here. So let's go over here. There is one bolt here, and they're all T25 or T20 Torx screws. Here you have one bolt here, two bolts here that you need to undo, as well as a couple of bolts that you need to remove along the liner here that goes up around this area here. The tightest bolt that you'll need to do and access is actually this bolt right here. This I think it's a T25, as well as another bolt, another T25 bolt right here. And this, let's see here, this bolt here is this bolt right here that screws into the frame over here. Now, once you've unscrewed all of the bolts here, you just go in and wrestle out this entire air scoop and remove it away from the car. And yes, I recommend for all the screws, you go and screw them back into these mounting points so you don't forget and lose these bolts, because each bolt has a certain place for both air scoops. So if your car happens to have adaptive cruise control, what does that mean? This little area right here will be the, I believe, the camera here that has an electrical connector that should go around here. Now I'm gonna go in and go into the back of the bumper because it will make sense if you see it. Here's the back of the bumper. There will be an electrical, there will be a camera somewhere over here. There will be an electrical connector that connects to the camera right here, and it should be, the electrical connector should like hover around here. This car does not have it, but just let's pretend that there's some sort of electrical connector around here. Now, in order to be able to remove this bumper, this electrical connector needs to be disconnected. And well, in order to be able to do that, you need to go in and do it from the front of the bumper. That means this cover here needs to get removed from the front. Here, there is a special tool that you need to buy that you need to insert, I think, in through this hole over here. Yeah, this hole right here. And then you'll be able to dislodge the clip here, and then you'll be able to go in and pull this out from the front of the bumper. And once you're able to pull this out from the front of the bumper, you'll have access to this electrical connector that you can then unhook. Now there's also an option on these cars that gives you some sort of water windshield washer reservoir that allows you to clean the headlights. And if that exists on your car, once you remove that lower grill from the front of the bumper, you're going to need to go in and then unplug the electrical connection as well. So just FYI. So the next step is to actually loosen the wheel fenders here. And you don't need to remove the entire fender right here, but you just need to loosen and remove the front part right here. And there are a couple bolts that hold the front part in place. There's a plastic bolt here, 10 millimeter. There's another, let's see, over here, there's another plastic 10 millimeter nut here. Let me go, and there is actually a fastener here. This is a plastic fastener. It's a Christmas tree fastener right here. I ended up installing this back on just to make sure that I don't lose this fastener, but it's a plastic fastener that you could just go in and pull out. From there are I believe two additional bolts that you need to remove. They are T25 bolts here, Torx number 1, number 2 right here, and all right, and there is another plastic nut that you need to remove towards the bottom of the car. It's by the shock absorber right here. So once you've taken off all those nuts and fasteners, you'll be able to just go in and bend this out and dislodge it from this wheel arch trim over here, allowing you to move on to the next step in order to be able to pry this entire front trim off. As you can see, there are clips right here that you need to pop off. All right, so next up is to dislodge this wheel arch trim here that is clipped onto the bumper, and these are the clips as you can see here. Now the first step is to pry off this lower clip here that is clipping onto the bottom of the bumper. Once you pry this off, you then go up the chain and start prying off these other clips over here. Now at the same time as you're prying these clips off, there is a screw here and a pop rivet that is located here. There's a screw here that you need to unscrew, as well as a pop rivet that you need to unscrew around here in order to be able to free up the bumper. Now what does this look like? Let's go here. Let's see here, right here. So there is a screw here. It's a T25 screw that you need to remove, as well as a pop rivet. Let me show you what the pop rivet looks like right now. So this is what the pop rivet looks like. This is it. It goes in here and is actually recessed like this. And this is, if you don't dislodge this rivet out, you're not gonna be able to remove the bumper. I recommend you use a trim tool such as this trim tool right here. You go in and then you pop this off. All right, so here's another pro tip I'm gonna give you. So as you're popping these clips off, there's not a lot of space between the opening and the wheel itself. Now, what you can do is to actually take off the wheel, but I was able to do this without taking off the wheel. How I'm able to do that is I use a flathead, but at the same time I use a mirror. This is the mirror I use. So I was able to come in like this, and then I'm able to go and see and find, okay, where is this clip here? Using this mirror, right here. You see that hole right there. Where's that clip? I see that. And then I'm able to go in and use my flathead and pry that out. And how you pry this out is you need to, right here, you need to go in and push up against the clip itself, going, the force needs to be going this way, not this way, not towards the outside of the car, but it needs to be pushed up against the actual clip. And if I turn this around, there's the clip right here. You need to push this and squish this enough so then I'm able to like actually pop this out with my hands. Now it took me some time and finesse to figure out how to do it, but you'll be able to figure out. And then once you figure out how to pop these off, it gets pretty easy. All right, let's assume that you've popped off all of these clips. You got the screw out here and this pop rivet on both sides of the bumper. You are almost finished. You're almost done. You now need to go in and take off this screw here. There's a screw here. It's a T25 screw and another T25 screw here that holds the front of the bumper. And then you now need to go underneath and actually unscrew 4 bolts that fix the bottom of the bumper to this plastic scoop you can see right here. And these are the 4 bolts right here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So before you pull out the bumper, next step is to go in and unclip this main connector that connects the parking sensors to the rest of the car right here. And I found out that once I push down, I actually go in and then I pull out. Now let's assume that all these lower bolts have been removed. The clips have been removed on the side of the bumper, as well as the bolt for the 2 bolts on the top right here, just bolt 1 as well as bolt 2. The next step is to actually pull on the sides of the bumper here, and you need to pull these out, and actually they pull out quite easily here. So they are locked in through some more clips here along this side as well as the other side of the car. What this looks like, you're gonna go here and then you're gonna just slowly pull along this side, and then you'll be able to pull along this other side as well. Once both sides are pulled out like this, you'd then be able to just grab onto the grill and then just pull this out, and then the bumper should be able to dislodge from the rest of the car. Now, if you have an extra set of hands, would be good to ask someone, your friend, your partner, your spouse, whoever, to help you handle this bumper as you're pulling this bumper out. For me, I've been able to pull this out by myself by first, this is another pro tip here. Before you pull the bumper off, I actually make sure that I have some sort of padding, a rug or some sort of cushion, just in case the bumper falls on the ground, to avoid scratching the front of the bumper. So once you remove the entire bumper, yay, congratulations. Pat yourself on the back, grab a beer if you can, and you can now easily access everything on this bumper right here. You can see here at the middle is the radiator grill that we need to remove and replace, as well as the left intake grill here and the right intake grill. Let's start off with the easy part. The left and right intake grills, there are just a couple of clips that you can literally just remove them with your hands, and or a trim tool such as this one right here. You can like go in and pop all of these little clips off, and it will just literally just fall to the ground. All right, let's look at the parking sensors. There's this one parking sensor right here. Let's trace it down. There's another parking sensor here, another one here, and then the last parking sensor is right here. So let's take a look of what we need to do in order to take off this grill and figure out the game plan. So as you can see here, there are 16 bolts that we need to take off, and there is actually another plastic piece called the striker plate here that is behind the front facing grill here that we need to take off. So these are T25 bolts that you need to take, and I've illustrated all of them where all the bolts are right there. Once you take all of these bolts off, save them, you're going to reuse them on your new grill with your new striker plate right here. So that striker plate is off, after you unscrew those bolts and unclip these clips right here. So how you clip them off is to use a trim tool and then pry them out off the trim, and you'll be able to pop them off easily. So you just unclip them one clip at a time, and then you'll be able to easily remove that striker plate off that radiator grill here. So after we take off that striker plate right here, we have additional fasteners that we need to take off. Take that off. There are like 8 screws here that you need to take off that I showed you before. Plus there are clips here that you need to go in with a trim tool and one by one take them off, one piece at a time, and then you'll be able to dislodge this lower bracket here for the parking sensors. Now you have this grill here, and you need to unclip the bottom part as well as the top part and lift it up this way. So get your trim tool, unclip these clips here, all these clips that you see here that I'm pointing to, as well as these clips over here. I'm going to go and turn the camera around so you can see here. These are the other additional clips that you need to use your trim tool and pry off. Once you have that, then you'll be able to lift this up away from the bumper. Furthermore, you have to take off these lower brackets here that is next to the left and right grills over here, because this piece is blocking this grill from lifting out this way. So you're gonna need to take off this screw here, T25, and unclip this clip here, as well as this clip, this other clip, and this other clip, and then you'll be able to take this off here, like so. And here's what the top part looks like after you pried out those clips here. Right, as you can see here, it's pried off. Be aware that there are small little clips here. I think there are 3, 1, 2, 3 that go into here, right here. There are small clips, just pry them out as well as you take this off. Otherwise, you may risk breaking these clips. So there are 3 per side here. And so these trim tools here are not sturdy enough to pry into the fiberglass on the bumper itself. I had to resort to using a screwdriver with the widest flathead that I have. If I were to do this again, I would get a professional trim tool that is made out of metal that looks similar to this, and then I would then have enough leverage to pry and push and press on these clips here. So that's really it. You just gotta take your tool and press down and then pry up, and then you'll be able to slowly take off each of these clips one at a time. And here's what the bumper looks like without that grill. Be careful of, see this, I think this is the upper part of the grill. Yeah, this is the upper part of the grill. Be careful because this can get a little flimsy. So make sure that you support this part well once you take off all these clips right here. And the best tip I can give you for these is just to press in hard on all sides of this clip here and then pull it out. You'll eventually get it. Just take some patience and some grunt work to get this clip off away from the grill so you could then lift this out. So here is the old grill that we took out, and then we're going to then install the new grill here. Installation is exactly reverse of what we did before. Once we assemble the bumper, we'll then be able to go ahead and transfer it to the car and proceed to reinstall everything in the exact steps, but in reverse. So I'm going to fast forward and install this bumper along with the other side of the lower intake grill portion here. Once the grill is completely reassembled, we'll then go and transfer everything back to the car. All right, so I have another pro tip for you once you're installing this new grill. If you have a brand new grill like I have, there are 2 holes here on this side. This one here, as I'm installing this bracket here, as well as this hole here, right here. Now, if it's a brand new grill, it's actually If you were to use the reuse the fastener here, this is a factory fastener that came off the old grill. You cannot screw this in. It won't bite in. You're going to need to find a screw with the same thread that has this pointy end here that's used. It's meant to actually drill in a new thread here, like some sort of a wood screw that has the same thread and diameter as this one. So you're going to have to find one at the hardware store. You go in and you start going in here and start the thread. Once you have that, then you'll be able to back it out and then go ahead and go in and reuse the factory fastener. And I've measured the size and thread pitch to be around 5 millimeters or an M5, and the thread is around 2.5 millimeters. And finally, here is what the end result looked like. You can see here the grill is the S-line grill, and it has the black optics package, meaning that the outer surrounding frame is black instead of silver. You can see here, let's take a better look of what the grill looks like from different angles. I think it looks way better. It has a much more aggressive front. It looks way sportier than the basic grill with the vertical slats.